Are you ready for the best Kansas City Chiefs podcast? Welcome to the Chiefs Blitz podcast, brought to you by ChiefsBlitz.com, your top source for Chiefs news. Our podcast is produced by Bowtie Sports and hosted by Dick Athan, Lou Montagna, Andre Tillman, Hense, Todd, and special contributor, Fox 4 sports reporter and anchor, Harold Kuntz. Please like and subscribe to our show. Now let's talk Kansas City Chiefs football.
All right, welcome back to the next edition of the Chiefs Blitz podcast. I'm your host, Nick Athan, with Mr. Hense Todd, Mr. Lou Montagna, and Fox 4 Sports. Harold Kuntz joining us on a Monday. We get to do something we haven't done in, 7 years now. We actually get to have our end of season break a lot earlier than normal. As everybody knows, the Chiefs did not qualify for the playoffs. They will have the 9th pick, which we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But before we get started, let's talk about our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, and we'll get you prepped for
football is back.
Postseason NFL football. Play 5, get up to $100 in bonus entries. Make sure you are legal and of age in the state in which you reside. But we make it pretty easy around here at the Chiefs Blitz podcast. What we do is we give you our QR code. Just type in the code Chiefs Blitz and set up your account, make your first deposit, play your first game, and you're all set. Also, as I announced, usually we did not hit our target date for the 100. So this football, Johnny Robinson, Emma Thomas, Len Dawson, Willie Neer, Bobby Bell is still up for auction, but it's going to be based on YouTube subscribers. So since I get a list of every YouTube subscriber, the next milestone for us is 5,000 subscribers. So we need to work hard. And if we get to 5,000 as a collective unit, that ball will be thrown out in a raffle, and it'll be given away to somebody who is an old Chiefs football fan. And I have a lot of this stuff. The entire collection is up for sale, as they say. So I'm happy to give away a few pieces of some of the stuff that means a lot to me. So that's the next milestone, 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. Call your friends, talk to your Chiefs fans, retweet the show. Set our link up. Whatever you want to do is a chance to win a one-of-a-kind football. There you go.
What's up, Ruben? What's up, Sam? What's up, everybody that's joining in from X?
John is here. Awesome.
Thank y'all for joining in. So, Lou, let's get right into the updates. Lou,
let's do it.
All right. So, breaking per Jordan Schultz, Titans have officially requested to interview Spags. That's right, Spags. One thing I wanted to get from you guys, and we'll talk about this, I guess, is that these guys win a couple of Super Bowls, not a sniff, right? And now they come off of their worst season since they've been here, and all of a sudden, okay, but we'll get to that. So Tennessee has now requested both Kansas City coordinators, Nagy and Spags. Borgonzi is clearly looking to bring that Arrowhead DNA to Nashville, or he just wants to have his buddies in for a chat and just see, hey, what's up, guys? Do them a solid.
Can we trade for Patrick Mahomes?
Get their names out there. Maybe generate some interest in other jobs. Be interesting to see if these guys get interviewed at anywhere else that doesn't have a former Chiefs employee there. So, but again, all due respect to the guys, they earned it. So God bless them. I don't know if I would wish that job on anybody right now, but hey, there's only 32.
That's right.
So how do you feel?
Yeah, Harold, how do you feel about that? Since we haven't really talked to you since for a couple weeks now, but
yeah, can I get Harold's deal? Maybe come on 2-3 times, then take like a month off. Just kind of pop in.
Yeah, I got.
Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. How are you, man?
I got multiple jobs within the one job I got.
I know.
No, I mean, this was been rumored forever with Matt Nagy and Mike Borgonzi there in Tennessee. You knew that was going to happen. I mean, I had been joking around at Nagy when he went to Tennessee. He was calling realtors, just making sure everything was in. But
just gonna stay.
And another important thing to realize about him is, now that his kids are in college, he's kind of a little freer to move on if he so chose. my biggest thing is not necessarily Matt Nagy. It's more so what do they do? What do the Chiefs do if Matt Nagy eventually leaves? I think he will find a job somewhere else. Maybe not Tennessee as maybe not as a head coach, but I do think he'll find something else just because he's out of contract right now. And I mean, they'll have him stay, but that's, I think, if he's exhausted every resource, and nothing's biting, so they'll gladly resign him. But with the Chiefs, I think there is some. I know everybody's mentioned Eric Bieniemy, and I know there's some, thing to that. I know there's some things with Mike Kafka, but the biggest thing with Bieniemy is now he's learned under Ben Johnson. And does he bring some of that offensive scheme to the Chiefs? And that would be something that's enticing. I think that's definitely worthy of calling back on. Another thing to realize, though, is that Andy Reid has been one that always says it's 51% of the vote. It's him. It's him. It's him. And everyone knows that. And when you look at the pedigree of success for Andy Reid assistants as head coaches, outside Doug Peterson, who won a Super Bowl, so you can't argue that. But Nagy's right there. We forget that he took Mitchell Trubisky to a playoff berth in Chicago
twice.
And we're seeing what Mitchell Trubisky is doing now. He's not starting.
Coach of the year.
So he's done something there. There's pedigree there, and I think he's just got to go out on his own wings, and he's got to be the guy that calls plays. Because it's no real secret that Andy's kind of the guy. So really, the more concern is with the Chiefs. Like, do they kind of readjust and reevaluate what they do offensively? Because clearly it did not work. And then there are some personnel issues as well, which we can get into later. But as to Steve Spagnuolo, I think he's here. I just think he's settled here. He likes it here. I mean, the few conversations I've had with him, he's given me no inclination that he wants to go anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, he's going to keep that door open, and he's open to the conversation, but that's just because that's the business. But I think this is just more courtesy interviews for a couple other guys, other teams, maybe some people he know, want to pick his brain, because he's still got it. He's still got the fastball.
Right.
And we've seen some defensive coaches that work well. Look at Seattle right now. I mean, that's a defensive-minded coach, and that's working quite well right now. So they definitely have it. It's just a matter of now, does he want to venture out at this age to be the head guy? And, I mean, you're already in the AFC West, which is basically, until Pete Carroll got fired, it was the old guys league. But now it's, who knows what the Raiders will do with Tom Brady and crew trying to select a coach. So it's going to be interesting with Nagy, though. I think Spags, though. I've got no inclination that he wants to head anywhere else, just a few times I've talked to him. So I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised with Spags. Nagy, I won't be surprised if he's not here next season, unless, of course, he just ventures in and says, hey, guys, I don't have a gig. You open to have me, and I'm sure they'll welcome him back with open arms.
Well, let me pick your brain a little bit, because I think the Eric Bieniemy thing is an interesting story, because I don't get that it was a very good parting of the ways.
Yeah,
the way it happened. And I don't think Eric would want to put himself in that position again unless he had some more bite. Now, if they're going to bring him in as a running backs coach, bring him on. I'm all in. I don't think that's going to happen. He's got a pretty good gig in Chicago right now. Clearly the best coaching hire last year. He's worked under this man and kind of see how things go. Having Thuney there helps a lot for the continuity. But I think I think we've talked about Kafka. It would be a good natural fit. He's had experience in the organization. Brian Dable, if they look at what he's done at Buffalo with Josh Allen, I think he's made Josh Allen the quarterback he is today. And then, you've got Kingsbury, who appears to be on the outs in Washington. So my question is this. At some point, Andy has to think about the long-term future.
Yeah.
And how many more years he's going to coach. My personal take is he's going to coach at least one more year. And then after that, I think Tammy's going to apply a little bit of pressure. So why not go after an offensive coordinator like Kingsbury? I don't want Dable as my head coach. But Cliff fits all the boxes. Fresh voice, knows Patrick Mahomes, developed Patrick Mahomes, would be a good head coach. He didn't have much support in Arizona with the Cardinals. That was just a disaster franchise. But why wouldn't Andy just say, you know what? I've had 51% for a really long time. Maybe it's time I give up that 1% and I bring in someone who can actually remold this offense, reshape it, and because the bottom line is winning Super Bowls. And what's happened, even with 2 of the last 3 Super Bowl wins, it wasn't the greatest offenses that we saw in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. Why not make a shift at a time in which it's obvious they need to make a shift?
Why do we think he gets out of bed in the morning?
Who?
Right? Andy Reid.
17-hour days are insane.
Well, forget about that.
He coaches.
He's made his bones on running this offensive system. Yeah. He's tweaked it. He's morphed it. All this other stuff. He ain't going to stand around, like being a figurehead and just kind of watching somebody else call the plays. So that's what we can list all these guys. Okay, bring this guy, bring that. There's no reason for anybody that's had any establishment in the NFL to come in and be an offensive coordinator for Andy, because they're not calling the plays. They may have an opportunity during the week, put together the game plan, maybe have some input on what plays go on the sheet. But at the end of the day, Andy's going to do that. So I think we had talked about this, I think earlier last week or whatever it was, but that's the job one this off season, is figuring out moving forward, how does this team want to operate offensively? Right.
Bring in another voice.
Is he open to having somebody coming? You're talking about, okay, well, Eric Bieniemy, who's been with Ben Johnson for 15 minutes, all of a sudden is going to come in and put in this new system that he's never done in his life before, outside of coaching the running backs with Chicago. Get out of here. That ain't happening. Brian Daboll's going to come in and just kind of do Nagy's job. No, he's been a head coach. Kevin Stefanski, that name's coming. Are you kidding me? That guy's going to be a head coach in probably half an hour, right? No. So it's a difficult position. It almost has to be a younger guy that wants exposure to this system and just kind of grow with it. So some of those names from the Rams or from the Niners or from the Vikings, or somebody from even Stefanski's staff, because that's kind of his background, was with Clint Kubiak or his dad Kubiak, Gary Kubiak. So they have to make, that's the biggest decision that has to be made, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's why I think it's time for a new voice.
Perhaps, but if he's the head coach and he has the say, Nick, is Andy just out of the blue going to say, you know what, I'm not seeing it anymore. I need somebody else to do this, and I just don't see that. I just don't see that happening, and it's unfortunate because you're probably not going to. But he may have a bunch of new wrinkles he wants to implement. And we'll see, but it's going to be very interesting because, like I said, I'll be redundant, and you'll hear me say this the entire offseason, or until we start to see some of the moves. If we start to see some of the personnel moves and you say, okay, they're going in a different direction in terms of what they want to do, then I'll stop. But until then, they have to decide, okay, how are we moving forward offensively? And then everything else will probably kind of fall in under that.
So why not make a big move and make a change that, Harold, why wouldn't he want to say at this point in his career, you know what, I've been doing this a long time, maybe I do need a fresh voice in here.
I think it's because he sees he's still got a little bit of a fastball. To use another baseball reference, I mean, the offense before the Mahomes injury, points aside, it was still putting up yardage, and they can claim it was personnel not doing the right thing when it comes to how the plays should have been executed. I can point to plenty of run plays where they think they should have had 6-7 yards and they only got 2-3 just because of the way it was executed. That's a problem, and that gets you in 2nd and 4 instead of 2nd and 9. That completely changes the whole dynamic of your offensive play call and your drive. So there's a lot of evaluation of what the personnel did out there and how they can put them in the right spots. So they've definitely bought a year when it comes to that. Now, when it comes to the coordinating position, if they have to replace Matt Nagy, Lou, you got a little bit of a point there with somebody young that comes up. We've seen that before, though. They always come within the system. But I'm telling you right now, like
That's
I'm looking at the assistant coaches right now. I don't think Connor Embry is going to become an offensive coordinator anytime soon.
No.
I don't think Todd Pinkston is going to become an offensive coordinator anytime soon. We've never heard a name of someone that could be a potential offensive coordinator on the current staff as is.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's
that's what Andy Reid has always done.
Yeah, somebody that's been with them.
Peterson brought up, Ryan Dable brought up, Eric Bieniemy brought up, Matt Nagy brought up.
I think that's why Kafka probably has the best chance if he's willing to do it.
Yes.
Because he knows exactly what he's signing up for.
Yes.
Yeah. And why not Doug Peterson?
Could, but does Doug want to do that?
I mean, again, Doug's a Super Bowl champion.
And he did call some plays.
Any name for head coaching position.
Yeah. Doug definitely called plays for a period of time.
Yeah. So if one of the guys does leave, John, you think they would at least give John Gruden a look,
Bring in Chucky.
Bring in Chuck, he's older, Patrick Mahomes, it's all your all-star, you're gonna have Taylor Swift in the stands, maybe Travis Kelce up there with her as well. So why not John Gruden? That's a name that I love, I watched the one-on-one sit down, before the draft, with the quarterbacks. I used to like that, when he was doing it, when he was in the NFL. He still does it on his own show, but I think that would be a strong interest. I think that would be a strong buzz to shake up, the locker room and shake up that offensive staff.
Yeah, but do you want two alphas on the same sideline?
Yeah. You got
no, that means they argue with each other. That means they argue with each other. That's human nature.
But he could play the Brad Childers. Hold on. He could play the Brad Childers role though.
Mm-hmm.
Could you see Gruden doing that? I don't think that's his personality.
I mean, he's still getting $10 million a year from the Raiders for the next 2-3 years. So hell yeah, why not?
They paying everybody, man. They're still paying.
Well, I think those opportunities probably have been there, and I think he's either going to be a head coach or he'll just keep doing what he's doing now. I mean,
I know.
That's the tough thing is, we can talk about it. It sounds great. It's, reunion from how many years ago? What he was like an offensive assistant in Philadelphia for a bit and kind of came up through the ranks, but. No, I mean, I think they certainly both are kind of schooled in that West Coast system, but I think Andy's has morphed to something completely different because of Patrick and how they do things versus what Gruden would want to do. And that's where, the friends might not be so friendly during
and we got to remember
game days.
Yeah, we got to remember, too, the input is as valuable as, what is happening with the head coach. And again, I mentioned back to the assistant coaches. I mean, you can mention Tom Melvin, the tight ends coach, Andy Heck, the offensive line coach. Like, usually there's been a guy that we've seen that's like, okay, they've been well-groomed to be an OC. But you look at the defensive side with Spagnuolo, if he leaves, you can definitely see Dave Merritt filling in.
I think he's going to be DC.
You can see Brendan Daly stepping in to be a DC. Like, there's guys there. You're like, okay, I don't think there would be too much of a drop-off with them filling in. You do not see it on the OC side of the ball. So that's why the underlings, there's going to be some shifting there. More so than we're looking at HCOC. We're looking at some of the underlings here. That might be some shifting.
Yeah, I think the offensive staff is going to change.
That's the part that's really got to be just kind of frustrating is that they didn't do a better job of kind of developing those guys or other guys that would kind of step up and kind of, be a little bit more of a voice. Cause I would imagine all those younger dudes, whatever, they probably have a hard time challenging Coach Reid on things. I mean, that's just my thought is that they don't seem like the type that are going to challenge Coach because, hey, he gave me this opportunity, whatever. I'm just going to kind of go about my business here. But, those young wide receivers need something better than what they have. I mean, nothing against the kid. I'm sure he works very hard. He knows his stuff potentially, but I don't see enough in those young receivers really they probably get better coaching from Juju Smith-Schuster than they do.
I'm all in for that. Make him the wide receiver coach.
I think he'd be a great wide receiver.
He's already doing it basically anyway.
I mean, he's basically the leadership of that room right now.
Yeah. I would bring him in for that.
He might be doing more coaching than Connor.
So speaking of Coach Reed, did he do the Raiders a solid yesterday by calling that timeout late in the game?
I think he did his own team a solid by calling that timeout.
Yeah. That was the
like,
best coaching move of the game.
That was I as I'm watching that, I'm like, he called a timeout. I'm like, what? Why? The clock is running. And then I'm like, what if, I don't think it would run through his mind, but what if he really did think to himself, all right, how about if I call a timeout? The Raiders can play basically one play because they got no timeouts, and I'm going to force them to hit a long field goal, and then I'm off the hook. It's because it's miss or make.
Hey.
Right.
Yeah.
I definitely read that. I was like,
it was a career long kick, but it wasn't a gimme for 60 yards or whatever.
I just cannot. Even if it was a dead rubber game, and the score was 11-6 at one point. It was 11-9 at one point. It was.
Yeah,
it was a brutal watch.
It was definitely heading towards.
You got entertained for him that absolutely no reason. I mean, Shane Buechele figured out something that 3 quarterbacks before him couldn't seem to figure out in the last 3 weeks, which is throw the ball deep.
Yeah.
Even if it's incomplete, just tuck it. So, like the whole offense that was predicated at the beginning of the year, like, hey, chuck it deep. Like, go make a play, Hollywood. I mean, you need a touchdown for $250,000. Here's your chance.
Yeah.
So, like giving Kareem those random carries at the end is like, he needed 25K for the 31 yards. We know, like, there's certain things like you can just know what's coming into it, and you read it, and you're like, yeah, this is happening for a reason. But yeah, I did wonder that with the timeout, but they got the number 9 pick now. I mean, that's what they had. They got a top 10 pick.
I kept explaining to my 9-year-old son. He was like, the Chiefs are leading, and I'm like, no, when they kicked the field goal, and he goes, he just couldn't understand why I wanted him to lose.
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand. I understand
9,
the fan wanting to lose, but I've never understood this about any draft in any sport. I've never understood. Unless you're getting like the Raiders, they had every reason to lose because they get the number 1 pick. So that means they get Mendoza or Dante Moore, depending upon which one they want. That's different. Like you're choosing between 9th or 11th, so you're probably going to get the second best defensive end or edge rusher, or the second best wide receiver or running back, or whatever you want.
Yeah, it wasn't going to
be
the
second best no matter what. Even if
it wasn't going to be a huge.
So it's not like a massive difference,
unless all the quarterbacks go 1 through 4 or 5.
Yeah, like you're getting the best number 1 quarterback likely at the like you're getting what you want, what the Chiefs want. Like it's not like they need a quarterback. I mean, they might get a late round quarterback to try to be a backup. Who knows? But
so you think watching that game? You mentioned Shane Buechele. He'd been here before. I think he and Patrick are probably pretty tight. Both their dads played baseball. I don't know if they were ever teammates, but for the Rangers, whatever, they're both Texas dudes. Is there a scenario where Buechele comes back as the number 3 and Oladokin has kind of showed everybody that great dude, maybe he's got, I don't know what he has. If he does have it, I haven't seen it. Do you see a world where maybe Buechele comes back as the number 3 instead of Oladokin?
Yeah, I think, we all know the first quarter of the season likely next year, depending upon the rehab. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he's crazy enough to tell you he'll be ready by week 1. He's crazy enough to tell you that.
I'm sure he believes that.
He believes it. But there's going to be an adult in the room that probably tells him, like, we're going to try to get 2-2 and then let's go week 5 or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they got to take care of these first 4 weeks. And I don't think anything that we've seen the last 3 weeks proves to me that they can have a caretaker that's presently on the roster, whether it be Oladokin or Shane Buechele, a caretaker that can get you even 1 and 3 right now.
Oh no, I'm saying number 3. The number 2 is yet to be determined.
But as number, bring in somebody that can get you
as number 3, one of those guys.
Well, I mean, like, let's look at it. Shane Buechele's been, I mean, he knew the system, but he'd been back here for basically a brief apartment stay, and he comes out there and he's firing away at the very least. There was some level of productivity, just like this some level of productivity we saw with Brashard Smith before the Raiders just realized Oladokin can't throw the ball. So it just, I mean, you flip a coin there. That's a St. Joe in the weeds training camp thing to prove who's going to be the number 3.
Right.
Or it might be settled by OTAs, depending upon how that goes. So,
but back to that timeout, I think he did call timeout for that ninth pick. Because there ain't no way you just sit there and say,
"Look, so weird when it watch." I mean,
Did they potentially
not set, but like the
did they have 12? Did they have 12 guys on the field?
Yeah, that's what was
happening.
Happening. So I had to look back at the play, but I mean that was one of the few things that came to mind. Is like they must have been set up for a penalty, or they were so broke down in some coverage.
He was grinning. If you watch it, he was grinning on the sidelines.
Yeah, it's weird. I was just like,
he's not stupid.
I was like,
Brett's probably going
Andy,
9, not 11, 9.
Yeah, I'm sure he figured that Pete Carroll was going to get let go today anyway. Hey, let him go out on a high note. Andy's got his.
I'll leave it up to your kicker, who, by the way, is also almost out of contract too.
Yeah,
maybe he has a moment in his history.
Yeah,
but looking at the stadium news, Nick wanted to ask you about Go ahead. Which one you asked, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we haven't had you on, and so just my consensus is, nice job. Go take the money. Build a cathedral, and I think it's going to be great. But you're at the building a lot more. I've talked to a few people there, and they all seem very happy with the move, and they're very confident they'll get the contract officially signed here in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
But 2 questions: 1, your thoughts on it, and 2, I was talking to one of my sources who told me about a year ago that this was more than likely going to happen. But 5 years seems like an awful long time to build when it's as he indicated to me, it's a 2.5 year project. A, your thoughts on them moving to Kansas, and B, do you think they'll play there before the end of their current lease at Arrowhead, which has a very, very easy buyout?
Yeah. They did 5 years, not because of the stadium. They did 5 years because of the investments and everything that are going around it, the businesses they're about to add, the infrastructure they're about to add. I mean, if you've been out there and you drive out there to Casey, to the Legends, basically. Yeah. Honestly, I don't even call it KCK. You drive out to the Legends, and you realize there's 1 lane for an exit on both sides, and that needs to be 3. You realize that they have the space. They got to put the parking out there, because if everybody wants to tailgate and remain the same, you got to put that big parking space out there. That's going to take some time. You're going to have to there's a lot they need to do in terms of the synergy between, okay, how do we connect people to the Legends? How do we connect people to the hotels that they got to build out there? So there's a lot going on that they need to figure out outside of just the stadium.
Right.
I mean, it won't even be the biggest stadium out there. People forget the speedways out there. That thing, Arrowhead itself, could fit 2 or 3 of those in the NASCAR stadium. So, right. Or Kansas Speedway. So there's a lot they've got to do, and they've got to get organized out there. I mean, I think they'll do it, but going back to, the people you talk to, I mean, Mark Donovan's made it fairly clear, if you read between the lines,
with a lot of exclamation points.
He wanted Kansas as like he wanted it like you wanted anything else.
Yeah,
he's wanted legacy. Kansas. He wanted a Chiefs kingdom, built out in the absolute middle of nowhere. And to be fair, like, I've been to about 18 NFL stadiums. That's going to be that most middle of nowhere stadium that's outside of Foxborough. That's in the entire NFL. So, right. Because Foxborough is literally the definition of middle of nowhere. But it's interesting that Arrowhead is going to be 5 years, but we saw it in Buffalo. We just saw Buffalo get rid of Highmark Stadium, Ralph Wilson Stadium, and they, for the last time, they had to shovel snow out so they could get seated, and that was a tradition there in Orchard Park.
Sure,
and that's gone. But I mean, everywhere everybody goes. Like, let's look at the Chiefs' schedule just next year. They go to Las Vegas. That's a new stadium. Mm-hmm. They go to the Chargers. And the Rams next year. Right. SoFi, brand new facility, new investments everywhere. Beautiful building. It's going to host 2 Super Bowls already. You go to Atlanta, new stadium downtown. You're going to, I mean, everywhere you go to Denver, who's about to build a new stadium. You went to Jacksonville, who's about to build a new stadium because the team's going to probably play in Orlando the next year or two. You go to Indianapolis, nice stadium downtown. It's about a decade old. Like, everybody's getting a new stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So the logic says the Chiefs, who have been notoriously behind on a lot of decisions, they've got to go get a new stadium. And that's what they're doing. It's as simple as that. And if Kansas is going to give them the biggest sweetheart deal in the history of mankind, they're basically saying, here's $1.8 million. I mean, you're talking to some of Kansas legislators, like especially the ones within Wyandotte County, and they're definitely like, okay, what's in this for us? Because now we're starting to realize there's nothing in it for us. So we need something here. That's when the state of Kansas just wanted to win. And they wanted to make a big thing. They're like, we're not a flyover state, we're a touchdown state. Well, newsflash, one, Kansas and Missouri are both flyover states. That's never going to change to anybody from New York City or LA. That's just not changing. That opinion is not changing. Pennsylvania to them is a flyover state if you live in New York.
What?
Yeah. It is. And I say that as someone with family in Philadelphia. Like, New York's like, once you get past Philadelphia,
that's
it. Like, where are we?
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
You're in the woods.
Yeah. So if you live in Miami, you're like, where is this place? Like, that happens. So that stereotype's never going to change. But what they can't change is, beating out Kansas City, Missouri for something. And if the whole weight of Kansas is behind it, then by all means, that's a win for Governor Laura Kelly and everybody there and the LCC staff that made these decisions and passed the star bonds. I mean, they were more aggressive. When they saw the vote in Jackson County, they saw an opportunity to pounce. They pounced.
They were.
There were so many more details about the Jackson County thing that wasn't necessarily the Chiefs' fault. It was probably more so the Royals and the organization of the downtown stadium. But then you figure out that there's the forces behind the downtown stadium with the Royals that, P&L wasn't very happy about, Power and Light District, and some other places weren't happy about. Businesses there weren't happy about, and they didn't have their ducks in a row. So that's why it failed.
No, they get a second chance.
Chiefs brought out an Arrowhead, renovated Arrowhead. That was honestly not a renovated Arrowhead. It was a renovated Arrowhead with a parking lot and a walkway to the suites.
Yeah,
that's not a renovated Arrowhead. That's something somebody designed the day before.
Yeah.
So, do you think that when they move over there, you're going to start seeing what you see in all these other big stadiums where the
yes, because you can't avoid it. Yeah, I mean that's the way the modern stadium is built now. Mm-hmm. I mean, they can say it's
start seeing more fans. You start seeing more other fans in there than the other.
Yeah,
it's all priced out.
But that's new stadiums.
That's good for the NFL.
Nashville's got a new stadium, and I mean, I was just there for the Titans game not too long ago. Nashville's got a new stadium built right next door, and it's huge.
And it's beautiful.
It's going to be incredible. And it's probably going to host a Super Bowl in 2035 or whatever. And the Chiefs, I guarantee you, they'll host one Super Bowl, and it'll be one. And that's it.
They'll get one for sure.
Just like Minnesota, which has one of the nicest stadiums, if not the nicest stadium in the NFL.
Probably the nice stadium. I think that's the nicest stadium I ever been to.
They got one. Yeah, because it's Minnesota. I mean, God forbid people. Did you think about this about the Super Bowl? You need to redo your Bartle Hall, the convention center. You need to redo that thing. That's going to take money and investment. You need the rows because, by the way, the Super Bowl is going to be played out in Kansas, but I guarantee everything's going to be done in Kansas City, Missouri.
Right.
So you need some investment there. The Radio Row is going to be in Missouri at the convention center. Nobody's going to downtown KCK.
Right.
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
so they have a lot to do with that, and they're going to get one. And it's going to be a great moment, and they're going to think the World Cup is the big prequel to that. But that's because they already got the infrastructure in place with Arrowhead Stadium as is. They got to redo that whole thing if they want a Super Bowl, which they'll get one. Now they're going to get about 2, maybe 3 Final Fours in its lifetime. That I can definitely believe.
I think it'll get more than that. I think the Kansas City element is going to. If they don't get the Final Four, they're going to get championship week. I mean, they're going to get the Sweet 16.
But everybody has a championship element. I mean, they had an AFC championship element with an old airport. That finally changed. The only way to get in the NFL draft is if they got a new airport. Right. That changed. Yep. And the airport, conveniently enough, is actually closer to where the
Yep. They
New
could
State
get a
would be
tram. They
anything
could
right
put a
now.
tram in there, and they could do that relatively.
Yeah, they got to get a. They got to get a tram. Like there's got to be ways to get from the airport to wherever, and at least
Just
downtown.
extend the star bounds a little longer, a little farther north.
But there's going to have to be a partnership between both states. Like the World Cup's happening because there's a partnership between both states.
Right.
If you have a Super Bowl, it's got to be a big partnership between both states, and they're going to be a little like the World Cup's like, oh, this is a cool event for, the middle of America. The Super Bowl, people are going to be a little,
It'll be a little different.
Yeah.
So with that said, it was a little bit. It was a lot of history was made with that timeout. You know what I mean? But speaking of Travis Kelce, go ahead, Luke.
All right. So, yes, history was made. Congratulations to Travis for becoming just the third tight end in NFL history to reach 13,000 career receiving yards. And it was just barely, I believe. I think he had like maybe 10 or 12.
13,002.
Yeah, he had like 10 or 12 receiving yards, put him just over the top. But hey, doesn't matter. 13,000. The consecutive years of over 800 yards, where he ranks in terms of just receptions, just in general. I think he passed Terrell Owens on the all-time list. So anytime he touches the field, now again, if he plays another year, you'll have another. He'll probably have some other people.
He'll be number 2 when it's all said and done, in pretty much every one or two in every category.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see I don't know if any of this really matters to Travis at this point. I think the only way he comes back is if he, in his heart of hearts, feels that 1, his body can take it, but 2, they really have a chance to kind of make this shift very quickly in one off season, which remains to be seen. I mean, this is going to be an interesting off season here. I thought it would have started a little bit more last off season, but I think they just decided to maybe stay status quo for another year, and here we are. So that's going to be a tough go for next season.
Do you see him? Do you see him coming back, Carl?
Yeah,
do you see him coming back for another year?
Yeah, it's an interesting decision. I mean, if he leaves, we have to think about how much of a complete reboot this is for the team culture, because he said it. He's the one that's been there since Andy's been there for the most part. Him and James Winchester. I mean, those are the 2 old guys on the team, and he's been there. He's done it all. I mean, you will not see another player that has every right to be like, thank you for your time, I'm out, other than Travis Kelce, considering all the the business ventures and everything he's got going on off the field. But he loves the game of football. Like, I don't think he played these last 3 games, which he had every right to say no, and he did, because he loves the game of football, and it was important for him to be out there, even if they were losing to the Titans and the Raiders. And he's like, hey, buddy, the reason why they played that game close against the Broncos is because he was still there, because he said, this is the last home game of the season. We don't go out like that. This is Christmas. This is national television. This team does not get embarrassed. And they played the Broncos close. Now, think what you will about the Broncos being one of the weaker 1 seeds in recent memory, but that's the culture he set there. And if you lose that, then you're looking at resetting everything. I mean, we already know Patrick's a leader, but I mean, you're starting the first 4 weeks of the season without your 2 biggest leaders. And I mean, there's Chris Jones, obviously, who's doing whatever he can right now. And he's stepped up in his leadership role too. I mean, I give him full credit. That man stepped up every week. I mean, Thursday he speaks. After the games, he speaks. He's been up front with everything. He's been, I think he's been more than accommodating.
Yeah.
Would we have liked to have seen that out of Chris a little bit earlier in his career? Do you think
maybe this was the time for him to do it?
You think he was ready for it? Because one of the things that we talked about coming into this season was that draft class that's in their fourth year this year. Some of those guys have to kind of step up and be a little bit more of a voice, a little bit, because of what you're talking about there, Harold, with Travis on his way out, with Chris on his way out.
I mean, I'll point to a conversation.
Some of these other guys have to step up and hey, it can't just be Patrick.
Yeah, I'll point to a conversation I had with Rashad Smith after the Broncos game, where he said, "I'm still every time I step on the practice field, I'm still in awe that I play with Travis Kelce
Right.
and Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball. Like, there's a lot of guys that are in awe. Like, they've been around the league long enough that these guys are playing with their idols. And, and you know, like, when the idol leaves, you're like, okay, what do I do now? There's like a big pause, and they don't know what to do with that yet. And it seems like nobody's really proven to. Like, we've seen it in the secondary. Brian Cook's like, I didn't realize I had to be the leader of this team, but I guess I am now, at least the leader.
Well, that was Justin Reed.
Yeah. It's like I didn't realize I had to be that guy, but I had to be that guy.
Tooney on the offensive line. I mean, the real dogs kind of have moved along, and now a few more are going to move along, and that's this whole transition piece. And a part of it is, okay, which one of these guys is going to stand up? And even before that, how many of them are still going to be around?
Yeah.
I mean, you keep hearing all this stuff about they're going to trade Trent. Okay, well, you got some younger guys that can actually play on the field, but in terms of
Williams, golden jacket kid.
Right, but in terms of leadership, are they ready to step into that role?
Yeah.
Who's ready to do that? So somebody like Leo, I could see Leo being that guy, but I don't know how he's viewed in the building. To me, that's you have to bring
Leo is already writing apology letters for
I know. That's what I'm saying. So
is Jalen Watson.
Yeah.
But if you hear guys on the team talk, they talk about Noah Gray like he's like the next one, or Leo, like, oh my God, we can't, we need this. So I don't know how the front office, how does Veach looking at this? How many of that draft class do you see coming back? Like the Jalen Watsons, Pacheco's probably definitely done, but like Cook and Leo and George is, he's been extended, but Trent's got the 5th-year option, but just I guess those guys like rounds 2 through 7.
Yeah. I mean, you look back at the former draft class. I mean, I've always said that the one draft class that really hurt him was the one with Rasheed and Felix, and I mean, a lot of that had to do with just injuries and not being available due to off the field reasons. And then the rest of that draft class is kind of not even there anymore. That one hurt him. I mean, that one hurt him, and then you can't even really count the last 2 draft classes, because they're still in their development process, and none of them took that.
So this one he got a hit on. So what this one Brett Veach got a hit on. So what you
but you can find dudes in this draft now.
Yeah,
like there's no excuse that 2 of these guys he finds have to be everyday start, like Josh Simmons. They got to be everyday starters.
Yeah,
they got when healthy and available, and they've got to produce. I mean, we can look at the draft quickly. I mean, if we're going at defensive line, I mean, I saw that kid from Texas Tech. And I'm like, that guy's going to be available around the time the Chiefs will pick, unless they're going up and down. That guy is great. So
Bailey's a great player.
I don't think there's any for sure's, because I think we got to find out. Almost certain the Raiders are going to take a quarterback.
Yeah,
the Jets don't pick until like 4, I believe. So
the Jets are
you would think
Jets are second now.
The Jets second. Okay,
they're
Giants the Giants are 4. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, so they're not taking a quarter. So maybe the top 2 are quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But then you've got some players falling off. But I guess I just wanted to get your feedback. Are any of those guys coming back? Do you feel, first off, like Leo, Brian Cook, Jalen Watson,
McDuffie?
Well, you had to put your money on
Brian. I mean, we talked to Brian too. And Brian he's kind of like he's in it is what it is state, but he never gave me the real inclination that like he's going to go where he's worth the value. And the Chiefs might offer him, let's say, arbitrary number 8, 9. And it's like, hey, somebody's going to be 12. The Chiefs have probably no business, no problem saying, thanks for your time. We love you. But we get it. You got to go. That's where I think he is. He's going to definitely test the market. I mean, I think he'd be a viable safety on a lot of teams.
Yeah.
But he's just got to test the market and see where he can get paid. I look at a guy like Jalen. I think of him the same way. He's going to test the market too, see if he can get paid. If not, the Chiefs will have him, but there's going to be a number. I mean, Veach has always kind of been like here's a number.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like somebody like Jalen, I believe his floor is probably going to be $15 million per year, I would think.
Yeah. But I mean, they've got Christian Fulton there. He gets an extra 6 next year, I think. So they're paying him pretty good. And Noel Williams' development did they trust it that he just, did they trust it and say, like, we got our guy, we got our two? I mean, we need depth pieces now. I mean, if we have Trent, great.
It's just hard because you're looking at these guys and, okay, you drafted
But he has
them.
an injury history. Christian Fulton does.
Right. You drafted these guys, you developed them, and now some other team is going to value them a hell of a lot more than you do.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that's just free agency.
Yeah,
right. I mean, those teams are going to overpay, but it just kind of sucks because those guys, you can see the flashes and that there's something there, but it's going to be might be impossible to keep any of them.
You saw that with Turk Wharton. He's a great example of that.
That was awful.
He played well, and then Carolina offered him a bag, and he's like, "Why?" Like,
I'm taking it.
Yeah, I'm taking
it. Right,
that
because in a lot of cases, these guys, this is going to be their only chance outside of if they ball out and get another contract. Right. But this may be their only chance to really get paid. So, it'll just be interesting to see. It just kind of sucks that you're going to see guys that you feel like, okay, they're coming along, but hey, it's not fast enough, and we're moving on. So,
what would you think the Brett Veach? This is going to be his time picking in the highest, back in since Patrick Mahomes, since they traded up for him. What you think he's going to go there? You think he's going to go build around Mahomes or build the ultimate defense, or you got to get the guy that because Mahomes coming off of ACL, knee surgery and everything else. You think he's going to get a key piece that's right up there to with that 9th pick? What you think he's going to do with her?
Can he build both?
Unless you trade McDuffie, they probably get a first round pick.
Yeah, if you do that, you get more picks. I mean, they're only working with 6. They're only working with 6 picks next year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're gonna have to do some trading to get some picks, or you're going to have to, get some free agency, work in the free agency market. And I mean, Veach has been normally aggressive. I think after this year, he'll get the green light to be a little more aggressive. Maybe they told him to hold back a little bit. I have no idea why.
I think absolutely.
Lou said it. Lou said it. I said Lou said it. Lou said he knows why they hold him back. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's been some reasons they've been holding back. But 6-11 speaks volumes, and that speaks. Oh, we can't hold back. Like, I mean, I'll say it this way. I mean, the ownership, they got their little stadium deal. I mean,
that could I mean,
that could be a big impact.
That could be like, okay, well, you know what? I just saved $1.8 billion. Go for it. Go for it.
Clark loosens
but
the
purse. And you can find
bit.
money different ways. Like, Patrick Mahomes is not going to take that $75 million or whatever it's owed.
Right.
He'll restructure. Just because he does that, and they'll
he's
push
still
him back.
He's still taking the money, Harold.
He's gonna, one of these years, you got to take the money.
Yeah,
but he might restructure. They'll ask him, and he'll say yes or no. And obviously, if Travis leaves, that's money. If he doesn't, then I'm sure he'll, restructure a little bit less. But there's other guys that aren't going to restructure, and there's other guys that want to get paid. So I mean, everybody in that room's got a conversation, unless your name's like George Karlaftis, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Nick Bolton. And a few other guys that are kind of locked in long term that have been there for a while. Like, everybody's pretty much got a conversation in that room. So,
all right. So
there haven't been first. You got to deal with the money guys.
There haven't been too many teams that have been able to do this reset with the salary cap where they're at right now, because all the ones that you see like this quick turnaround, like Jacksonville, had a lot of pieces in place. They just needed the right culture or the right coach. And, they spent plenty in free agency. New England, same thing. Denver, it's been a few years and they've hit on a bunch of picks as well. So, I'd like to be as optimistic as possible, but just in terms of looking at the reality of the situation, it may be a bit before they get back to where they feel they should be as far as the Chiefs go. And just, we always knew this reset in Patrick's career was coming. I don't know that we expected it like quite this quickly, but it just seems like there's a lot of huge decisions that have to be made, and God bless this guy for having to make them. And hopefully, again, he has the wherewithal from ownership to go ahead and do what he has to do. But again, the biggest thing I keep coming back to is Coach Reed going to, cede some of his power, if you would. Because the other piece of it is some of these draft picks don't get to play right away. And you see them kind of show flashes. Now, the one thing, I came up with a different take on Brashard Smith, and I did a 180 on this. And hear me out. You guys tell me what you think. You saw Brashard finally get the opportunity to get some carries between the tackles, and he looks like, not like he's going to be like this Emmitt Smith, something like that, but he looks a hell of a lot more functional than what they've had. Andy's been talking the whole year about conditioning, having him gain weight and so forth. Since it was the last game, he could afford to have him take a beating and it wouldn't be that big of a deal, right? So maybe that was it. He didn't want to get the kid beat up during the course of the season. And now he gets a full off season in the strength and conditioning program, the whole deal, and we'll see him play next year. At least that's what I'm telling myself and making myself feel better that Brashard didn't get the ball as much as he should have.
Yeah, I want to go back on something that you said, Harold, a few weeks ago about Dameon Pierce. We finally saw him out there yesterday.
We saw a lot of guys make appearances.
Yeah, I'm curious if you still feel like he is running back one next year. They kind of probably had that count. There had to be a reason they didn't play him they didn't play him until yesterday. And I don't know if it was just to get familiar with the offense, get familiar with the culture. Let's see what we have. Maybe they didn't want him to look too good. I would have to believe that conversations before he chose Kansas City over 9 other teams, and I think 7 of them were playoff teams, he didn't have some assurances that he was going to get a new contract to be the backup.
He was coming off a bad injury, 1.
Yeah.
And 2, they wanted to see what they had out of Brashard. And I think they wanted to see what they had out of Isaiah Pacheco, too.
Yeah. Well,
even though he had most of the season to determine it, I still think they wanted to see what he did in those situations. So they have that to evaluate. They wanted to, Dameon, they're not going to be able to evaluate off of what a carry for 4 yards against the Raiders. Just like we never got a real evaluation out of Jalen Royals off of his 2 catches for 3 yards. So, I mean, they were those guys were both redshirt guys, essentially. And they knew Dameon was coming off the injury, so they wanted to make sure that everything was good there. I think it was kind of the same way when they got Christian Fulton. You hoped he was going to be good after his injury. He finally is getting back to some level of rhythm.
He played
well with the Chargers.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys that just kind of like, all right, well, let's get you out there for a bit and just get you playing. And Dameon Pierce is one of them. I mean, it's the Tyquan Thornton theory. Like I said, it's just you're here. We know what you can do now. Can you be part of the offense? Until, of course, he basically set out the last 3-4 games of the season. So, I mean, all those guys that are on IR, like half of those guys aren't even injured. If they're making a playoff run, they could play.
Yeah.
Like we know Rashee Rice wasn't on 3-week concussion protocol. They set him out. They said, go home. I mean, they told a lot of those guys go home. And I mean, the guys who stuck around. Like Trey was going to play no matter what. He wanted to play. That's him. That's in his nature. He's a competitor. That's why he's adored. Creed wanted to stick around because he's adored. And you got the other guys like the Kingsley Suamataiyas of the world who, last seen trying to hurdle someone. He wanted to get through a whole season playing guard. So that's great for him.
He did a great job.
I mean, there's a lot of athleticism on that left side of the line.
Yeah.
Do you remember that play, Hense, or Josh Simmons ran down one of those DBs on an interception? Kingsley's hurdling people like he's Josh Allen.
Yeah, come on. I know this is hard to say considering the record, but there were a few positives out of this year. Yeah, there were more than a few positives out of this year. It's just they couldn't, and I go back to what I was saying earlier about if they make 2 or 3 different plays here, then instead of being at what were they, 6-6 at the time? They could have been 8-4, and maybe they try to make a playoff push. Now, do I think it was going to go down like it did toward the end of the year, like it did now? Yes, because I think the exhaustion hit them hard, and there was no way out of it because they just didn't have the depth to get over it. The exhaustion. It was going to hit them hard anyway. It was going to hit hard. Like that Titans game, I was sitting there telling somebody like they would have lost this game if Patrick started. That was the cutoff line. That was the Mendoza line for them. They got tired.
I think they were done.
And it was going to happen no matter what.
This week.
Yeah.
I think they was done. I think they was done.
Yeah, I think they retired the bye week.
I think they was done after Andy Reid said they're gonna run plays to tickle people's tonsils, and they've been 0-5, 0-5 since then. They ain't won.
It was something fresh that he said,
It's fresh, but it wasn't. They didn't win. They didn't win since then.
He tried to come up with something. He knew they were fighting it. He knew they were fighting.
Andy's not stupid. He knows his team didn't have it, and he probably knew they didn't have it in training camp. Yeah. You're talking about 17 extra playoff games in the span of 6 years. That's a whole full season extra these guys are playing.
Like they lie to you when they put the Chiefs roster on. It should say experience, like whatever +1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I remember I had a nice conversation with Xavier Worthy last week. He's doing a really good thing for some kids. He's actually been mentoring some kids at a correctional facility in Lee Summit throughout the entire past 3 months. Really cool.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
And he, he was basically like his he and his camp were basically saying like they've been here 2 years and they're tired. And like that, because the last year was a whirlwind, you're going all the way to the Super Bowl. You go through the combine. I mean, people forget when you get out of college, you go straight to combine preparation. You're working on physical attributes instead of actual football. You're trying to impress agents. You're trying to impress scouts. Then you get to the combine, and then when you get there, it's go, go, go. It's rookie mini camp. It's OTAs. It's mini camp. And then you're there, and then you go all the way to the Super Bowl. And then you get to the point now where it's like, oh, I finally get a break. Mm-hmm. So the second-year players are finally getting a break, and the rookie players are finally getting a break. That's like half your team.
Yeah.
You're finally getting, and then that's not including the veterans who have been there, who have played in long postseason runs. Everybody's getting a break. And like, it's 6-11 this year, because like, let's face it, if they weren't going to win the Super Bowl anyway, they might as well get a good break out of it.
Yeah.
And then you get, and next year you're probably going to get a slightly different break just because we don't know what Patrick Mahomes is going to be up to. And I mean, we've seen pictures of that leg brace. I mean, yikes. So
it was ACL, LCL.
Yeah,
I mean, we can talk all we want about how
he'll be back.
How tough a guy he is and how his recovery and everything. He's putting.
But we've seen a lot of tough guys go through that same injury, and
absolutely.
It's the mental aspect of getting it over. For
exactly,
like
and then even when he does come back, because he does rely on his mobility a lot, he's going to have to. You saw Lamar. I mean, he wasn't. You saw people running him down this year, and he wasn't even injured that badly, right?
Yeah,
as badly as Patrick. We don't know how bad he was hurt, but the bottom line is, again, as optimistic as I can be for next season, a lot of things are going to have to break almost perfectly for them to, I think, really contend or even make the playoffs. Because again, the roster turnover can be unprecedented.
Yeah,
because the schedule's not easy. It's a third place schedule, but it is not an easy schedule.
They got the NFC West.
Yeah.
They got the worst thing. They got the NFC West. They got the AFC East.
The AFC
got the worst
right. So
outcomes.
Their bonus, I think the bonus game is Atlanta.
Yeah.
And they actually can be pretty good when they're
good at home.
Yeah. Or on prime time. On prime time, they were 4-1.
Yeah.
The rest of the season, they were 4-8. So yeah.
I think they since Mahomes going to come off the injury, man, they got to build around him. You know what I mean? You can't just leave everything on his shoulders.
You know what that means, Vince? That means it's a perfect opportunity to develop a quality running game.
Yep.
Jeremiah Love. He's going to be there at number 9. You take Jeremiah Love. You get Jeremiah Love, and you go get Kyle Pitts. I don't care what nobody says.
There's no chance Love is going to be there at 9. There's no chance Love's going to be there at 9.
If he is, you run that ticket up to the podium.
Harold, you've been around these guys and whatever. And I like Andy Heck, but do you feel like that is an area that might need enhancement?
Yeah, somebody's got to
with kid gloves. Just
more of
a badass like a Stoutland. Right? I'm not him specifically, but somebody like.
Well, I mean, if you get Stoutland, you're in business. You're getting the best.
He's not going. He's not going anywhere. I'm saying somebody in that kind. Cut from that.
Find a guy from Delaware State and turn him into a
cut from that cloth, right? Maybe they have an assistant line coach that is looking for.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some. There needs to be, I should say, some rejiggering around what goes on with the assistants there. There has.
I think you'll see about 5 or 6 on both sides,
except for Tom Melvin, because he's still squeezing every last cent out of Travis Kelce. And, I mean, Travis Kelce, he's his own coach, but I mean, let's forget he was like the fourth best tight end in terms of receiving yards this year. I mean, I don't know what the stats were after the Raiders game, but like,
he was up there.
He's still up there. Like, he was your leading receiver.
Again,
you don't just get rid of your leading receiver.
Which, I mean, that takes you down a whole other path with these young wide receivers and where they should be, where they could be, and so forth. But
you would think it would be Rashee Rice, who didn't play like less than half the season. But,
I'm still excited. I'm still excited about his potential. Yeah, Xavier, I'm sure he's a great
play a season.
Xavier, great dude. Whatever. I'll give him another season just to see what's what, because because you see like how much Zay Flowers has kind of developed with Baltimore, and you see same body type, size, the whole thing.
It's funny. I still got Zay's a little Flowers with Casey Wolf, but continue.
Zay's a little, I guess, a bigger dude. I mean, like just physically. Not taller, but just seems like a little stronger. So maybe he has the chance to do that, but it's just the way it's lean, and it's get more McCole Hardman than it is somebody that's a very productive wide receiver. And I just hate to see that, because I think the kid does have the potential to do it. I think he needs some. What's going on with Keith Williams? Didn't he? I mean, isn't he like the guru in that area as wide receiver coaches? He used to be at Nebraska, and I think he's just kind of like a solo guy. And
you gotta get a guy.
People can go to him and.
I look it up. They got a wide receiver teaching running backs right now. They could just shift over to wide receiver. That's just me.
Yeah.
They need to get rid of those coaches.
Keith Williams has a reputation for being a really good wide receiver coach. I don't know about Todd Pinkston's skills. I know he played the position, but again, I mean, to coach it, that's two totally different things. So I'm running out of ideas here.
If I'm Andy Reid, I'm bringing. If I got to change, I'm going to bring in. I'm going to go get T.O. and try to make him be a wide receiver coach. I know you said Juju.
Wow.
I'm going to go get one of T.O. or Chad Johnson. One of those guys.
T.O. alone, whatever he's doing, man. He's enjoying his life.
He's got a great gig. If he would do it for anybody, I think he would do it for Andy.
He would do it for Andy.
I think he'll do it for Andy, man. Because looking at these receivers, man, like I want to see the ultimate team around Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to see this. He come in next year and
there you go.
And he's still building the same thing around the same.
Steve Smith. Man, you just want somebody. I still got a picture of Steve Smith screaming over Rashee Rice. That was great.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, Steve Smith, a senior. I take him too. Yeah. Somebody in there, or Eddie Kennison. Bring in Eddie Kennison. Bring him. Let him be receiver coach.
It didn't work out too well for Eddie down at LSU on that staff. I don't know if Eddie would want to do that now with his kids being.
Yeah, there's a difference between I guess playing the position well and also being able to coach it. Usually, sometimes the guys that are just like ultra, like the best at their position, it's hard for them to coach because I think they just can't identify with somebody that's not as great as them. Right. So part of it, you have to have been able to play the position. But Steve Smith, he's just enough of a dog. You just don't know if he'd be willing to just submit to the grind 24/7, 365, and just be that. Just that's his
Super
job.
Bowl ring. Why not?
So with that said, guys, we want to thank you guys for joining in. Thank you guys, all y'all, for tuning in and sharing everything. I don't think I heard what you said. You think that I asked you what you think the Chiefs would do with the 9th pick, Harold. You know, would you think
January
what
5th, who's your pick at 9?
Man,
Who'd
they
you
gotta
pick
go.
at
They
9?
gotta go edge rusher.
edge rusher?
They gotta go edge rusher, man. I mean, Omar Norman lot back, Chris Jones. You gotta go edge rusher. You know, to complement Karlaftis. I mean, who knows what happens? I think Omenahue and a couple of those guys might not be back next year. I think Dana will just because he got the contract. But yeah, you need edge rusher, man. And I mean,
Are they still holding out hope for FAU?
I mean, he'll be back. He'll have the opportunity to compete.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're not going to give up on a first round pick.
Get an impact player. I don't care what position. I mean, at the premium positions, not like a specialty or anything like that.
But I mean, if they don't go there, then
somebody with impact that this will be an all pro in 2 years.
Or unless there's just the best available.
That's all I want.
Yeah. Unless there's just like this guy we can't just pass up on. He might not be the position we exactly need, but
Caleb Downs.
You got to grab him. Yeah.
If Caleb Downs falls to that position, it's going to be awfully hard to pass.
Yeah, it's hard to pass.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's going to be a fun. We got, like I said,
only got like 4 months.
We have 65 days until the start of free agency.
It's time to rest up a little bit.
We get a little time, but again, I want to thank everybody for joining the
Jeremiah
show.
Love.
We'll be back. He's not going to be there. We'll be back Wednesday at 1:30 and again on Friday. And then Harold will be with us again next Monday. So, Harold, thank you so much for joining us. Lou.
Yes, sir.
I'm Nick. Everybody have a great Monday. Peace out.
Loyal to the team, every victory we slay. Chiefs Blitz podcast where the real fans unite. Every touchdown score, we ignite the night. From tailgate chatter to post-game debate, we love our Chiefs, yeah, it's never too late. So tune in live, don't miss the hype. Chiefs Blitz podcast, it's what we type.